Hello. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Okay, let's paint a new portrait. I'm gonna show you my brushes and I'm gonna mention the colors I have here. Here are my brushes. All of them are synthetic brushes. I have round and flat brushes. Okay, the colors I'm using are titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, cadmium red, alizarin crimson. There's a little bit of burnt sienna here. That was a leftover from a couple of days painting. Cobalt blue and ivory black. Hello Michael, how are you? Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna start just sketching with oil. Okay, the first thing that I do is I squint down my eyes. Just in that way I group values and I can just mix some burnt sienna and blue and start sketching and trying just to get the darker values. If you squint down your eyes, basically seeing this photograph, you're gonna see that it's darker here on the nose, corner of the mouth, below the neck, and here. I'm gonna mix more paint. I'm using linseed oil. It's not about precision. I just want to see. I want to describe the form just with the shadows, these darker midtones. Okay, something pretty simple, and that way I can see if. Oh, hello Wolfpack, hello and Kieran, hello Paint, with Satnir, hello Sepik, Maham, Catherine saying hi from Florida, hi, hello Irina's asking me when would you do pastel draw. Hello, Happy Me. Hello, Joanne. Happy Me, that's good. Oh, pastel, one of these days. Yeah, one of these days. I don't know when, but maybe tomorrow. No, it's just like now that you kind of I have this idea about pastels. You know, usually that start to grow in me, and yeah, who knows, next week, tomorrow, who knows. But one thing, they're gonna go live every Thursday, that's for sure. Okay, that's for the shadows. I'm gonna pick up another brush for lights. I'm gonna just use pure orange and a little bit of linseed oil. A little bit of white and orange. Doesn't look good at this stage, but I love it. I love that I squint on my eyes and I see, you know, the face, even that does not look like her face or not beautiful as her face it is, but is there. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna use the other brush again, and again darker values. Imagine that when you use one value like I'm just using now, imagine that this is a pencil. You can press lightly or harder. If I press lightly, I got really light, lines, soft values. If I press harder, I got darker brush strokes. Okay, as a reminder for myself, that it's not about just seeing the photograph. I gotta think about things like this. This is rounded, rounded here. Here there's a plane for the nose, different plane here from the front of the nose. That means that the light on the nose is gonna be different from the light here. The light is coming from the right. And this cheek is gonna be lighter than this cheek. Okay, and it's not just about being lighter, is that the color could be more saturated, color could be less saturated, a bit cooler, okay, a bit grayish. For the mouth, the same. I'm thinking about this area like it's something rounded. Now that's something that I always think, that's the way I can kind of trying to imagine the painting as a sculpture and kind of carving out the sculpture with the brush strokes. What kind of orange I'm using? I'm using cadmium orange. Got the tube here. It's Amsterdam. Well, actually it says, okay, here is the name. Orange Azo. But I thought it was cadmium orange. Anyway, it looks pretty close to cadmium orange. Hello, Nikurim, saying hi from Nigeria. Wow, amazing. It's more amazing when I got the feeling that the country is pretty far away from me. For the ones that they don't know, I'm from Peru. Yeah, it looks like a bit transparent. Here it says on the tube, you see this little square. Yeah? I don't know if you see it there, or it's going to be better to put it here. When it's like this, it means semi-transparent. Yeah? Heather is saying hello from Canada. Hi. Welcome everybody from everywhere. Thank you for being here. Feel free to ask me about materials. I got a question the other day, a question on the comments about the canvases I use. I usually prepare my own canvases, usually, but in this case, this canvas, I bought this canvas. But when I go to the store and I buy a canvas, I add always an extra layer of gesso. And if I don't have gesso, paint. For the paint that you use to paint your house, I use satin paint. That's a really good quality paint. Really good, a really high price. Now you gotta evaluate what is gonna be better for you, because the price is kind of the same, between this painting for walls and gesso. I mean, at least here is the same price, pretty close to be the same price. It's just that I can go to those huge, hardware stores and buy this paint, satin paint, But when it's about gesso, I gotta go to an art store. And sometimes when I'm so bored and lazy, I don't wanna go out to an art store. I just go to a hardware store that I have one like 5 minutes from here, and I buy just paint from walls, satin paint. But that's me. I'm not suggesting you use. I'm just sharing what I do. The best that's gonna be always buy, art materials. Okay. Here a mid-tone. For example, since this is cylindrical, there's gonna be a mid-tone here. Okay, what happens? And I'm thinking about that before even seeing that on the photograph. I'm always trying to use the knowledge I have to see more. Okay, that's what helps me to understand the face, to mold the face, and always thinking, like, for example, the color here. In this case, the light is pretty warm. I can just have a cool color on the shadows. How cool is gonna be that color? I could mix something like, I'm gonna do it right now, like, for example, a glycerin greens and blue, and have some purple. Okay, this color could work, could be here. Now the only way to answer that question is to paint that color. Color theory says that that color could exist, okay, but it depends on the ambient light. If in this case the light is pretty warm, definitely that warm light is going to affect the shadows too. And this rule about warm lights and cool shadows it's not going to work in some particular cases where the environment around is so warm and the skin color is a warm color too. Okay? But definitely there's going to be a cool color, but not a cool color like a really violish color. When I see it first, I think that I see the color on the photograph and it looks for me just like brown. Doesn't look like a cool color. But as painters, we can exaggerate that. Feel free to exaggerate. See if it works. If it doesn't work, you can put more paint on top. And that's it. Okay, hello Mark. Hello Cosimo. Hello Manny, comes from Texas. Hey Mark, yes. I am back on the live. Hello Jonas, hello Torniki. What type of canvas do you use? Okay, this particular canvas is the one that I just bought on the store with the stretcher bar and everything. And every time that I go here and buy a canvas, to be honest, I don't even care about how good or not is the canvas. It's just like the guy that sold me the canvas. It's like, oh, this is better, this is better. In my head, I'm just thinking, I'm gonna add 2 layers to. I don't listen to anyone anymore. I'm just thinking, I'm gonna add 2 layers of gesso to this one, or just maybe more than 2 layers to this one, and that's it. Yeah. Well, that's that's. I just there listening to the guy that sells me the canvas and saying, okay, that's good, that's pretty good. But in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking just, oh, maybe I gotta go faster to my studio because I have a class in 2 hours. I'm gonna add this layer of gesso right now. And I pick up my bike and I accelerate, heading back to my studio. that's what I did with this one. One thing that I pay attention when I buy a canvas is that it's just if it's smooth or pretty, or it has some tooth, and like the last time I bought, like 2 months ago that I bought some canvases. The canvas was kind of rough. I can see so clearly the tooth, and I bought them anyway. Now, like a couple of weeks ago that I went to buy more canvases, I found this pretty smooth canvases, and I bought like 10 canvases. I already have used like maybe more than half of them, and I'm gonna buy more, and maybe for next month I'm gonna prepare my own canvases again. It's just sometimes about how you feel. Sometimes I just feel like I gotta prepare my own canvases. I prepared like a big canvas and then I cut it in pieces. And when I don't feel like I'm preparing my canvases, I go and buy just the canvas. And I enjoy just going with my bike. Yeah. If I find a reason to use my bike, yeah, I do it. Now that I'm painting here, for example, this has to be rounded. The level of this area is different from the level of the eye. Okay, you see a profile view. Remember, when you see a profile view, you see something like this. This is coming forward. The eye is here. The eye is protected by this. That's why the light here is lighter than the light on the upper eyelid, lighter than the light on the cheekbone. Look at this profile again. Profile, eye, cheekbone. You see that? The light that hits here is lighter. The one that hits the upper eyelid is not that bright, and the one that hits here the same. Now, that's the logic about the distance from the subject you are painting to the light source. But okay, that's a rule, let's say, but you're not gonna see the same every single time. Why? Because sometimes light is bouncing. Light bounces all the time here and there. And you're gonna see that, oh, the light on the upper eyelid looks brighter now on this image than the light on top of the forehead. If that happens, follow your eyes. But knowing this is pretty helpful. If you don't understand it, I'm gonna just make it a bit more clear. Okay, brow here, eye, cheekbone. Another thing, corner of the mouth here. Look at here, look at here. That's why, for example, you paint in the corner of the mouth here, you can make it blurry, and have a sharp edge where here. Why? Because this is closer to your eye, and this is not, and this is turning. Okay, turning to the sides. Yeah. In that way, when you think in that way, it's not about copying a photograph. It's just like molding or carving out a sculpture. And what is a sculpture? A three-dimensional form. It means that you're thinking what to do to create that illusion that the form is turning. What you're gonna use? Edges, you're gonna use color, you're gonna use contrast, texture, even the amount of paint. You can use, for example, more paint here, yeah? And let's paint here on the shadow. Even that is going to help you to create the illusion that this is coming forward. Okay. It's not like you gotta do that for every painting, but that's part of creating helping that, you know, to create this illusion of depth on a flat surface. All of that works. And on top of that, obviously knowing about anatomy and the muscles to understand what you're painting, to understand where this form is turning, where there's a convex or concave area. Oh, let's see the comments. Hello, Roger. Roger saying hi from Missouri, USA. Happy Me, Jen saying, can you show sometimes how you prepare your canvas? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, maybe someday. Yeah. Hello, Manuel. Hi, Monique. Oh, looks like I need to scroll up. Hello, Sherry Brown. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you add more paint, for example, here on the cheek bone, you're gonna need to add more paint to the nose because the nose is coming forward more than the cheekbone. Remember that every time I mention where we place some lights, like here, for example, here. Okay, that's because of the anatomy of the face. Okay, that's gonna be always on the same spots. Okay. Anatomy, for example, cheekbone here. Align the bottom of the bone with the nose. That's why we're gonna see a shadow that goes like this. Maybe on her face is not that clear, but that's anatomy. You know, if we don't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. It's definitely there. Okay. I'm knocking down the color. I want to work on this area, and for sure that the color here around the eye is not going to be too bright. If I make it too bright, it's going to pop forward. One thing, you know, about these tools, if somebody just feels so afraid to put down paint and when they erase it, look at this tool. Look at this. This is just amazing. That's my canvas there. I can just erase. Oh, I don't want to waste this paint. Yeah, but I would suggest not to do things like this. Is we let's say fix the paint by adding more paint. That's something that we gotta do. Why? I don't know. I think that's better for oil paint. Accumulate more paint, not erase it, put more paint. We need more paint always. That's about oil. That's what I learned, and it feels so good to do that. But I wanted to show you this tool just for maybe somebody that wanted to use it, and maybe knowing that you can be able to erase something is gonna give you some relief. Okay? Anything that works for you is okay to use it. Okay, I'm squinting down my eyes again, and let's think about values. Everything here darker, darker here. Darker here. I'm using a bigger brush just to don't think about details, just think about the shape. For example, right now I'm gonna use a smaller brush. I'm thinking about this shape here, the nose as a shape. Thinking about this as a shape. Okay. Things that we need to know. For example, the bone here, it goes like that, but there is a shadow that goes like this. Okay. Why? Because just what we see here on this side of that area, you know, what creates this form. Let me go to the comments, read the comments. Oh, these are the thing that I use. Michael is saying is called color shapers. Mark is saying, now I need a scraping tool like that. Okay. I showed them the last week. I bought them on this store, you know, Dollar City store. Yeah. Oh, Heather Brooks. Heather is saying that they are used for clay and pottery. Yeah. I'm using a little bit of green here because I got some reddish color showing through. I want to knock down this. And you want to knock down a reddish color, you use the opposite color. Have a color wheel with you. Okay, some of the red showing through. What it looks like a reddish color, but that's my canvas with in combination with the paint. Some of this kind of reddish color showing through, that's good. Not a lot, but some is good. Okay, I'm gonna blend a bit. Okay, I'm just thinking which one is going to be the best tool. This one or this one? Both are pretty soft, but I gotta say between these two, this one is the softer one. Go like this. There is some glare, but look at that. You can use a smaller brush like this. You can dab with the brush like this. Okay, now I'm gonna get a bit closer to my painting to get some details. Okay, I need a smaller brush. Oh, I got 2 ebooks. Look at here. Somebody wants to go and buy them. It's just $10 each ebook. You can buy them on my in my website. You can buy them in Amazon. But the link to Amazon is in my website, and the link for the ebooks is in the description box. A sharp edge. I need a sharp edge now, and a sharp edge is going to be on the nose. Okay, I'm going to knock down a little bit this color. Oh, I need one more color. Okay, raw umber. I'm going to add raw umber to my palette. Right here. It's pretty good to gray down the colors. Okay. Now this area here, the form it comes like this and goes up. If I do this, it's just like I'm painting something flat. Okay, but that's the first approach. Okay, a sharp edge, that. Now I think about the form, and I gotta change the values a bit for that. Here it's gonna be a bit darker. Now it's a bit more saturated. I need to desaturate that. A little bit of green. Okay, a bit more green. Desaturate the color. Now I paint on top. Okay, I just create the form that's going like that. And now to the corner, if I do the same, for example here, and I paint all this like this. Now again, it's just like painting something flat here. Okay, yeah. Now we gotta think this is a bit darker here, and it's even darker here. Why? Because the form is not flat, it's turning. On this area is coming like this to this area. Now a little bit of anatomy to understand that. Here, the levator labii superior is a muscle that goes like this, and from the cheekbone, zygomaticus major, zygomaticus minor, and on top of all of that, orbicularis oris. Okay, and that goes on top of the rounded form of the bone. And that completes the creation of the form. And when we know what is beneath, you start just molding the form. The thing about anatomy, the knowledge about anatomy is about just something that's gonna work in a second plane in your brain while you're trying to just see and copy the photograph. All the knowledge you have on anatomy is gonna be there. But to use that It's just you're gonna need to practice, study a bit. In other words, you're gonna need to join my Patreon. That goes to my commercial. Okay, even that the eyelids are reddish, there is an area on the eyes that has a big grayish that's usually around this. This area is kind of already touching the bone. You can touch it there. It's different from touching here. If here's soft, touching here, you can touch the bone. And that changes the color there. Okay, and when you go to the eyelids, again, the eyelids are transparent, the skin transparent, the light is coming through. Transparent layer on top of the white eyeball. That's why the color it becomes reddish. On this area, it becomes a bit reddish here. Okay, a bit reddish here. This transparency, it's just the skin. It's not thinner, it's the skin. Okay. And when the skin is on something that is just closer to the bone, the color is different from something that's closer to an area that has more blood. Okay. I remember a joke. It's a joke in Spanish. I don't know if it's not going to work in English. I'm going to say it anyway. There's two crazy guys in a mental institution. And one of the crazy guys say like, I am, let's say, I am, which, no, Jesus, I'm Jesus, you know. And those two guys, one next to the other, in front of the doctor. One says, I'm Jesus. And the doctor said, why do you think you're Jesus? Because God told me I'm Jesus. And the other crazy guy next to him, he just turned the head and said, what? I never told you anything like that. I hope you got it. Sorry, that just came to my mind. I don't know why. Maybe something I said. Oh, somebody got the joke here. Oh my God. Oh, and Cat Savage too. Hello, Sebastian. Hello, Hamid. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Heather says, I just bought them both. Oh, don't forget, if you buy something, use the links to Amazon in the description box. In that way, I got some money. Okay. I'm glad that at least a couple of people got the joke. Now the colors that are here, I'm moving these colors from being a bit more saturated, grayish, greenish, okay, as I move away from the color wheel, my colors on the palette, you know, let's say that I move away to here. If I move away to here, the color is going to be grayish. If I move closer here, the color is going to be a bit more saturated, a bit more until I pick up pure blue, and that's going to be a full saturated color that I can even use maybe here a touch, just a touch, because the lips and they are reddish. But if you pick up a real red color and put it next to the photograph, you notice that it's not a saturated color. Oh, thank you, Michael. Okay, that's for a coffee. Yeah, and just, you know, I'm planning to get a coffee after the class. Two things I'm planning to do: get a coffee and go to the sauna for a foot massage. Yeah, I deserve it. Maybe not, but anyway, I'm going. Okay, I'm gonna step back, lean back. Let's see the comments. Okay, thank you, Monique. Catherine said, could you explain what it means by saturated when you speak of color? Oh, yeah. There are three characteristics, three properties of color: hue, saturation, and the other one I don't remember in English. Okay. Value, yeah. I was explaining just this in Spanish, but I remember hue, saturation, and value. And hue is just the color. When you say green, yellow, orange, yeah. Value is when the color is lighter or darker. Just lighter or darker. Just imagine that. Just, okay. Saturation is when you pick up, for example, yellow, and yellow here, and let's say 10 steps to the left, a square of gray, but the same value of yellow, okay? And you mix that yellow with gray, and little by little, you get to gray, same value. That is saturation. If you have a red square, the gray square is going to be darker because, you know, if you translate red to gray, it's going to be a darker gray. Blue is going to look like a really dark gray. And when you move the color closer to that grayish, you know, square, that's saturation. And I got red here. If I gray down gray, I'm going to end up with just no lighter gray, no darker gray, just a gray that's going to be the same value as red. That's what it means, saturation. Okay? Value is that's making the red darker. A darker red, a light red, that would be what? Pinky color. And hue is just the color. Just like when we say red, when we say yellow. Yeah, okay. It's kind of simple. It's so simple that sometimes we forget about that. Because it's not something that we use it like for every time that we paint. It's more to explain color. Okay. It's just like when you know that, a teacher can tell you, hey, you need to saturate this color a bit more. And now you know exactly what to do. Now you can follow the indications. Making the nose a little bit more reddish, let's say a bit saturated. And when you say saturated, it means that this color is going to be more saturated than the colors around the nose. Okay? Because when we speak about colors, we cannot isolate colors. We have to always consider that the color is going to be affected by the other colors. Okay, good. Oh, okay. Oh, are you saturating with the complementary color? No, when you use the complementary color, you're not saturating a color. You saturate the color, okay, let's put it this way. All the colors that you put down on the palette, like yellow, is fully saturated. Red, fully saturated. Orange, okay. Blue, all of them. If you put down some terra verde, that color is not saturated. Okay, every color that's closer to any color that you know on the color wheel is fully saturated. Hello, Mary. When you use the complementary color, you basically mixing a new color. But what that mixture is doing is desaturating a color. Okay, but it's not the kind of desaturation that we use it to explain it, because when we use desaturation to explain it with gray, Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Mary suggesting to look up the Manson color system. Yeah. The Manson color system is the one that definitely is the one that is pretty precise for mixing colors. Let's say that even that knowing that, what is most used for painters is the simple, color wheel where we have just yellow, blue, and red. It's because it's simpler. Yeah. But if you want to mix tint, you want to be so precise about mixing colors. The monster color wheel, that's the one that everybody should use. But when we understanding color, trying to understand color, we always try to simplify. It's just like the goal for every painter that's trying to paint complexity is first to simplify everything. That's all the things that we do, simplification. When we are good at simplifying, the next steps becomes easier. If we got overwhelmed with a lot of information first, maybe we're not going to be able to use all of that when we paint. But it's good to get all the information which is just knowledge. All the knowledge we can get, that's going to be always useful. Sometimes it just that we use it differently on different stage of each painting. I'm gonna blend again. Here, for example, when I got to this area, what I'm going to do is trying to work here, thinking that this is the upper part of the eye socket. And like I explained it here on this profile view, it's coming forward. Okay, and then I'm going to start molding this. Okay, but that's not the time yet. I'm still blending and trying to see the face. Squinting down my eyes to see a difference between the light on the nose, the cheek here, and the cheek here. When I got the time, I'm gonna think, for example, that here there's the cheekbone, here is fat tissue, Okay, all this is rounded, and at the same time I gotta think what separates the form here, or this plane, from this plane to this plane. A coarse shadow there that's gonna go like this. Okay, the same way that happens here on the nose. The thing is that this shadow is gonna be a little bit greenish here, and it could be a little bit reddish here, just to keep the colors of the skin. Okay, corner of the mouth. Now, during the process of painting, what we don't want is to get a cartoonish painting. Okay? Then we gotta be, especially when we paint in one session at a Prima. Now what we need to do is just move back and forth. Maybe we're gonna work a lot on one eye, and after that we're gonna need to do something like this. And you're gonna think to yourself, why, you know, I did all the work and now I'm just kind of blurring anything to the point that I don't see my beautiful details anymore. Okay. And what you do that because we know that we get caught up on details, okay, and we need to control that. For example, what I'm thinking right now is this: I have a sharp edge here. I know that I could have a sharp edge. Let's say here. Now this is too dark. I'm gonna go over this area in a second. Where? Here. Okay, I can exaggerate a sharp edge here. I don't see that clearly, but let's do it here. Why I do that? Because I want the nose to pop forward. Okay, now here. Oh, I need another brush. I need to buy more brushes. Here. Okay. Now here's when we learn to make or take, what's going to be the best way to say, make or take decisions. That's going to create or add to the volume of the face without making the face cartoonish. Now you need to just see if you need to soften an edge again, make it sharper again, soften again. You're gonna be back and forth there at the same time that you're thinking about molding the face. Okay. I gotta touch the camera here because when I touch it, I kind of focus. Oh, hello. Happy. Oh, Joanne. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, Mary's saying a little. Okay. Yeah. I would suggest to read what Mary is writing here. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Okay. Let's continue. Now, I'm going to use pure black with a little bit of alizarin crimson. Now, let's do something here on this eye. Okay. Now I'm adding more contrast, and I want to get a sharp edge there. Okay. Now what about do the same on the other eye? I don't see that dark on the photograph, but now when you're painting one eye compared with the other one, yeah, a little bit of umber here. Now what I'm thinking after painting this is how much detail I'm gonna add. Obviously I'm thinking at the same time, if the eyes are aligned, maybe I'm painting one eye bigger than the other. Yeah. That's something that we gotta keep always, you know, in our brain. It's just like at some point start working not even on a second plane, in a third plane, but it's there, and always checking that. What I mean on a third plane in my brain, sometimes when I have too many doubts about my own drawing, what I mean, if the eyes are aligned, what I could do, I pause all the things that I'm thinking about at the moment, like values, you know, anatomy, and I check out the alignment, I check out the center line of the face, how tilted is the face, if the corner of the mouth is properly aligned with the eye, the same way that I see on the photograph, the nose. I trace a lot of lines, I use my brush, I do it on top of the photograph, I do it on top of my painting. And check out how tilted is the hand, all of that. All the alignments, horizontal, vertical, okay, all of that. Now, let's continue. Okay, this is coming like this, yeah, because this is rounded again, rounded, like it's here, remember. Okay, the forehead is going to that direction, okay, it's not flat. It means that at some point I'm gonna need to pause and see the face as an oval form, and I could think something like this. Okay, where's the lightest light? Here. Light source coming from here. Light values, lighter values here, here. Okay, how I'm gonna make the nose just the forehead turn? Grade down the color. I grade down the color using gray or using the complementary color. Okay, but let's say that when we say grade down, I imagine myself like using gray, actual gray. Yeah? But both ways works, because what we're doing, we're knocking down actually the saturated color, and that's the goal. For some portrait painters that are used to use, for example, this gray color, gray paint. Yeah? If you say to one of those one painter that are used to use gray paint, like gray down the color, he could immediately think about adding a little bit of gray paint. That's what I could think about. Yeah. Now the forehead is a little bit grayish, softer edge, grayish, and more light here, but it's flat right now. Yeah? Because I needed to work on the value and the form. now it's flat. That's why I mentioned we need to go back and forth in a painting, because here, what we know about anatomy on the forehead, the muscles are not changing that much. What we see more the light here, light here, light here, light here. That's the bumps that exist on the scar on the forehead. Pretty subtle, okay? I don't see them clearly, but I have seen those bumps so clearly when I have studied the scar, the bones. Okay, again, is that clear? No, it's not. Okay, again. Be careful to get to the glabella. Maybe sometimes the glabella got some light because of the angle of the light. Yeah, but usually the glabella is in a different plane from the forehead. Here's the glabella. Remember this profile view I have here? Here's the glabella. Okay. Maybe I need to reduce the forehead. Let's do something here. Yeah, I think I added too much forehead. Yeah, I need to make it shorter. Oh, I got a question here. Hi, Mary. Yeah, I'm doing this. I'm planning to go to my regular schedule, doing lives on Thursdays, 2 p.m. Today I started at 3 p.m. I couldn't do it at 2 p.m. But let's say between 2 and 3 p.m. This week I did 2 live streams, one on Tuesday. That was, I was planning to do Thursdays, just Thursdays, but that was a particular reason. We had holidays this week here in Peru. And just there are a few days that they feel so nice to paint. Yeah. And that's what I did the live stream on Tuesday. And plus that I found a beautiful photograph that I didn't wait to paint it in one of the classes. I just wanted to paint it right away. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Yeah. Oh, the yellow I'm using for the warm light mostly cadmium orange. The yellow I have is cadmium yellow light. Okay. Okay, here again, now think about this area. I know there's gonna be some light here because of the cheekbone, some light here because of the cheek. Now the problem when we're doing this is that maybe we add too much light, and after just continue painting, we got this cheek lighter than this one. If that happens, we're gonna need to repaint again. We gotta take that like something that you have to do, not like, oh my God, I made a mistake. No, that's part of the process of painting. Okay, for example, here, I don't know if you can see the shadow there, okay, but here and here, you can see a portion. Maybe I have seen lately too much of this, but I can see here the portion of the orbicularis oris. Yeah, we've been doing, we've been having anatomy classes for a couple of weeks, for the whole month. And now I cannot stop seeing muscles everywhere. Yeah. Okay, here, there. Do you see? No, do you notice this little? Do you know? There. Okay, we can see this triangular muscle. That's the depressor. Oh my God, I forget the name. Depressor anguli oris. It's triangular one. Okay. What we want is to remember the form and see the forms. The name of the muscle helps us to remember the form, but eventually don't feel bad if you don't remember the name of the muscles. What have to stay with us is the form. See, that looks like one eye is bigger than the other. Okay, I need to move this upper eyelid, lower eyelid a little bit up. A little bit of light here. Okay, now remember, you work in this area, don't go with the light all the way there because the eye is a sphere. Okay, think about the primary form of the eye. It is a sphere. And remember, if somebody has practiced drawing spheres, shading spheres, remember just the light and midtones and shadows, kind of thinking about overlapping that. And you're gonna understand what you gotta do with values when you get to the eye. Okay, I gotta work on something here first before I continue on the eyes. I don't know why is this kind of, driving my eyes to this area. I need to paint this a little bit at least to see. Oh God, I think now it's gonna be even more distracted. More distracting. Okay, I'm gonna just blend it. Okay. See a little bit of light on the corner of the lower eyelid. If the light is coming from right, we add some reflected light on the left side of the iris. Because remember, the iris is concave. I'm gonna add a highlight on this eye. Highlight on this eye. Okay, one eye still looks bigger than the other. Well, I mean, actually one eye is bigger than the other, but on my painting it looks like maybe it's too much. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna blend here on the nose a bit. Feel free to ask me any question. Okay. Okay, I don't see this so clearly, but here, the lower eyelid, there is usually a mid-tone here. Okay, that's an indication that it's here. You can see it here. This usually continues all the way here. Okay, and you can feel it like a solid area here. That's the bottom of the eye socket and the top of the cheekbone. Okay. With this brush that I use for blending, I can just, push the paint, pull the paint. You see how I'm moving this darker value there. Okay, I'm blended here. It's a bit sharper. It's not sharp, but let's say there's a bit more clear, the separation between the values here, and it's a bit softer here. Softening here. That's the difficult part, because every time that I do that, I'm just thinking that I gotta do it again, like I already painted there, but I have to repaint again. But we need to get used to that. It's gonna happen so often that we need to get used to kind of build up something and destroy it and then start over again. Okay, with this, the same brush, I'm gonna just a little bit of light here and here. I wanna get this rounded volume. Okay. Oh yes, I have a second ebook, Mary. Yeah. Oh no, I didn't mention it, but it's here on the screen. You can see both. One is painting tips, and the other one is about color harmony. Okay, now one thing that happened with, I got my highlight just on the eye, just blurring, too blurry. I need to paint the pupil. Okay. And now I want to move here. I want to rest my eyes from this area a bit. I want to move here. Now here, as I paint in this, I'm thinking again the same, how I molded this. a little bit of light here, okay, because it's rounded. Okay. How much light? Maybe that's too much. I'm mixing orange and yellow, knocking down this light. Not that much, because I still need to create the illusion that this is rounded. Okay, now here is rounded. Yeah. Now there's another area that I need to pop forward. This. Below the orbicularis oris is this muscle that comes here, that comes from all the nose here. Okay. Okay, again, the value here has to be a little bit lighter than the value next to the corner of the mouth. But do you actually see it? It's so difficult. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's not. That's why it's more about knowing what you're painting. In this case, the face, and knowing the face, more about the face, about ups and downs, just like knowing the place where you live. And that way you can just, work on some areas and get better results, even when you don't see those details on the photograph. Now, when we love to blend, we gotta be careful, because sometimes we blend away all those subtle differences between values. And the result is we flattened out the volume. Looking for my brush for blending. Okay, here it is. It's just in front of me, but I got so many brushes just here. You see the nose is too dark. That's something that I did it on purpose to create a difference between the cheek and the nose, but I have to redo it because it's too dark. Okay, now I need to paint here again till I see that the difference is there, but it's not too dark. Okay, there, a bit more. Here's when a tool like this is not gonna work, sadly, because it's not about erasing, it's about adjusting the values, making the value a bit darker, a bit lighter, moving the value darker, a bit closer, a bit to the right, a bit to the left. Yeah. Yeah, just return those tools. They're not useful anymore. Sorry for making you buy those tools. I'm just kidding. But speaking about these tools, this kind of It looks like a eraser. Pretty useful for the first stages. Yeah, definitely. Now here on the eye, for example, a little bit of umber with this. There it needs to be darker here. Okay. Just a bit. The same way it's darker here. Nostril. For the nostril, I'm going to use raw umber and alizarin crimson. I prefer it looks like a transparent, dark transparent color, and a little bit of a reflected light for the nostril here at top. I don't see that clearly. Oops, that's too bright. Okay, let's continue. Eyebrow here, a bit darker. Oh, I see some movement on the comments. Let's see. Oh yes, Monique, you're right. Okay, Joanne. Let's paint the hair. Do you hear the cat? Yes, my cat's boyfriend just arrived. I'm gonna put up there on the roof my life schedule for this little cat. Okay, this cat comes every day at this time. The thing is that for you all to imagine my studio, I have a door here that is a huge door, pretty high, pretty tall. And what happens when I close the door, I close at the same time a little window on top. And from that little window, you know, this cat gets into the house. And I keep this closed because otherwise we can just hear the sounds from outside. And I suppose that's pretty sad for this cat. I mean, for both, my cat too, because she cannot go outside, because that's the window, that's the one that communicates with the roof. Thank you, Catherine. Hello, Nolan. Yeah, I'm gonna spend a bit more time on this one because of the hen. The only problem for the photograph, I found the photograph on Pinterest, but it was just, you know, flipped. I reversed it with Photoshop, but you know that means that I don't have the link to the image. But you can get to my Patreon. It's just public there. That means you get to my Patreon and you're gonna see just the post. Don't need to create an account. Don't need to register as a free member. Nothing. It's just public. And that's the link to the photograph attached with, you know, below the video. And there is one more photograph that I got there. That's one that's is blurry, and graphics pretty good. What I tried to see when I squint on my eyes. Yeah. It looks like a bait, yeah, to get you all get into my Patreon. It's not. Maybe it is. Who knows? No, but the truth is that I couldn't post it, the photograph here, because I don't have a link to the photograph. I have a link to the reversed image. Now I'm thinking, okay, values is a bit darker here. Yeah. A bit darker here. Now with that, a little bit of color, a little bit of purple to cool down the color there, mid-tone there. Okay, I reflect the light. I can just red as I reflect the light. And there. I see more like a purple a purple as a reflected light. But what if I just make it like kind of red? That works, maybe. Now a little bit of light here. And I'm doing this because there's a muzzle here. You can see this muzzle, and I trying to mold it this light here, and then it jumps here. Okay. And the edges here, pretty soft. Mark is saying, ultimately, most of us end up working for the cats. Michael is asking me, do you spend a long time looking for a picture to paint? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it could be like, okay, if I put up the time together, maybe an hour. Yeah, because I spend maybe 20 minutes and then I don't find anything, and I stop looking for, photograph. I start doing another things, and then after a couple of hours, again, sometimes I'm pretty lucky that as soon as I open Pinterest, I got a beautiful image just there, waiting for me. But that doesn't happen so often. And it has to do with, at the same time, that, for example, tomorrow we have a class with pastels, but we're going to paint a landscape. And then I start looking for landscapes on Pinterest. And then for another class, I start looking for portraits, and yeah, and sometimes I'm looking for anatomy, skulls. I think if I was just looking for portraits, maybe I give more time to Pinterest to find the right ones. A bit faster. Okay, let's see the nose, a little bit of I'm gonna make the highlight a little bit brighter. Yeah, I wanna add a bit more saturation to the nose, but pretty subtle. I need more orange. Not only say muscles of the hypothenor eminence. Oh, what's that? I don't remember those muscles. Okay. Let's see. Let's continue. Oh, side of the hand. Oh, thank you, Nolan. Okay, I'm gonna blend a bit more before add the orange to the nose here, the upper lip. I need to soften a bit. I need to soften here. Okay, now a little bit of orange, just a tiny touch of orange. Okay, just here, next to the nostril there. Okay, I can mix red and white, a little bit of pink, and just put it next to here. Oops, that's too bright. I blend this a bit here. Okay, now pick up again this pink here on top. Okay, more light here. Okay, let's blend the face. Let's see if we can still notice some of the light here because of the cheekbone, a little bit of light here because of the eye socket. Now the same here. Now every time that we mix a new color, we get a slightly different variation of the color. And that's good, that's something that we want, okay? We don't want to match every mixture after every mixture. No, if I got this a little bit greenish for here, perfect. If this is a little bit bluish and it's here, perfect. Here too. That's a cool color. Okay, perfect. There's no need to match every single color again. I remember there was a time that I used to mix a lot of paint because I didn't want to mix more paint again and again, because you run out of paint and you need to mix more paint, and every time that I did that I got a different color. Yeah? But I learned pretty fast that those little differences add more to the painting than just having just one color. And then what I did, I started to prepare just little amount of paint, and then I was running out of paint. I need to prepare more. Yeah? And that was good. But I still remember one of my friends telling me, why you don't prepare a lot of paint and paint the full, color. That's it. Yeah, I think different things works for different people. Yeah? But for me, that was pretty nice just to paint a lot of paint first, but after a few times I prefer to mix again and mix again and again and again. In every subtle variations kind of open the opportunity to more colors, and at the same time to some, let's say, happy accidents and some of not so happy accidents, but we count on the happy accidents. There are some, colors that we don't expect it on the painting. We didn't plan ahead, but they add something beautiful to a painting. Man, that's pretty good. That we're not able to control 100% of what happens when we paint. We try when we learn, when we practice. We try to learn to, let's say, repeat again those, let's say, happy accidents, and again and again and again, and do it pretty good every time. Yeah? Okay, again, lights, more yellow and orange. Squinting down my eyes, a bit more light here. Okay, a bit more light here. Is rounded enough, or maybe I need more shadows. Okay, a bit more light here. There, I can see a muscle here. This one. Okay, now the chin is too light, maybe. How rounded this looks, maybe I need more light there. Now you see that the color is a bit different here, this new color. No, that's the beauty of this. Now, when the color is too different in value and color, I mean, maybe you're gonna find yourself mixing more and more and more to try to get rid of that color. But even if that happens, I think it's worth it, just for the purpose of getting a painting with a bit more color than just one color. For example, my painting looks kind of monochromatic now, but I know that I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, I know there are some subtle colors there. Okay, let me see if I can just. Okay, I know you can see some pink, some grayish, some orangey. Okay. I can mix some light blue, pretty light blue. That could be the highlight on the lip. Okay, that's too close. Sometimes to see a real bright contrast, I pick up just black with a palette knife and I apply it like this. That's when I see, I don't know if you notice the difference, that's a real darker value. But when I apply with brush, I don't see like really dark value, even when I use pure black. I need to use a palette knife. Okay, I need to mold this face a bit more yet. This contrast is too high between this and this. I need to soften this. Maybe darken up a little bit this cheek, or light up the other one. I'm just thinking out loud, okay? Or maybe it's gonna be, it's my the way that I did work there, that doesn't look rounded enough. I think maybe the mistake was when I pushed this shadow too much and on the light. Okay, what can I do? I'm thinking, for example, I can just get a little bit of this area on the brush just by blending here, and with what is on the tip of the brush, I can go pretty lightly on top, not touching where I know there's light here. But in that way, I'm knocking down the color there. Now, what is I gotta do that? Where? Here on the forehead. I can even pick up some black from the top. Okay, maybe that's too much, too dark. If it's too dark, I need to repaint that again. Now remember, don't take it like, oh my God, I did a mistake there. No. It's part of painting. When you just know it's part of painting, you just assume that's gonna happen, and then it's a bit more relaxed for you knowing that it's part of the process. The only thing that's kind of frustrating, that you cannot take every area just like saying, oh, I'm done with the forehead. No. Or I'm done with the nose. No. Okay? You gotta just wait, continue working, check out, or always comparing the values here and there, lean back, step back, compare the values again, see if you got maybe some area too dark, or you need to darken up something more, change a color, change the value. Maybe desaturated the value color is better for one area. Okay. Okay. Hey, it's almost like 2 hours and a half. Eh? Or no? Oh, an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Oh, that's good. That's a good time. Yeah, I think I'm almost done. Still think they could do more, but I think what I got is good enough for a good practice painting. The only thing that I cannot fix is the neck. I got the feeling that the neck is too thin. Yeah. What about the darker values on the background? Are those dark enough? What about if I add a highlight on the hair? Maybe a touch like that. Okay, now some colors that I know that because I have seen so many often on the skin are green and violet. I can add a little bit of green here. Okay, we gotta just mix the green in a way that it's gonna look good. There's a shadow knocking down the green, maybe not too yellowish, a bit more bluish. Now again, that's gonna depend on the environment. Okay, now another color is just violet. That works pretty good too, but pretty subtle on the shadows. Okay. It could be there next to green. Yeah. Now, just thinking about my painting, not comparing with the photograph. Okay, I see the form turning. Man, looks like it's good. Oh, here on the forehead. Okay, I think if I just do this here, that's gonna be better for the forehead. I'm gonna sacrifice the shape because it's gonna look kind of blurry. But I think it's gonna be better for the form, not the shape, the form that makes the form turn. Okay, for the hand, got the feeling I need to work more on this area for the knuckles. Yeah, I think it's gonna be better maybe just to keep it blurry, softer. I'm gonna spend a lot of time on the hand. For me right now, that could take the fan from the face. Okay, what about this area? I think I can make it a bit darker. What about just I do this? Okay, is that better? Okay, do you see me doing this darker 10 minutes ago and now making this darker again? Now, maybe what's gonna happen that after a few minutes I'm gonna say, oh, that's too dark. Okay, remember, that's what it takes. Okay. Oh, thank you, Michael. You're welcome, Mark. Good night. Okay. And now that, you know, it looks like I see too much yellow on one side, on one cheek. I see that on my screen. I don't see it on my paint. Anyway. Okay. Now, the feeling that the face is getting light on the face. Is that good? Yeah, I think it's good enough. A bit more light here. You know what? I think if I just use this eraser here, I can get to the light. Look at that. Look, it's beautiful, yeah? I mean, it works because I got the canvas, this orangey canvas. I think that works like a transparent, you know, shadow. because it's really transparent, you know. I basically erased it. It's just too reddish. Okay, I'm done. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I think I'm done. I think I got a lot accomplished on the portrait. It's been a nice study, a nice, you know, practice to remember always all the things that I gotta pay attention to. We gotta pay attention to values, ages, softness. Okay. Okay, I need to soften here a bit. The beauty about painting here is that I turn off my cell phone. I don't get any phone call. I know it's not good for you, but it's just like just time for me to enjoy painting. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Take care. Okay, and see you all next week. Oh. I'm trying to get I want to capture the screen. I want to stay for a few more minutes. You all can go now. Bye, Michael. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Now I know I go for real. Bye.